Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, welcome to the second lecture. Uh, in the last class, we started our discussion on how to represent the stress, what is a traction vector, what is the stress tensor, how it is useful in doing the analysis and design. And then we denoted the different components of stress using uh, ij notation, the index notation. So for example, we had tau ij, any stress component tau ij. That means the stress component is acting on a phase which has a normal along ith direction, that is the first subscript, and the stress is acting in the jth direction, that is the second subscript. For example, if I say tau xy, this one, that means that x here denotes the direction of the normal, that phase has a normal along x direction, and the stress acting in the y direction. So this is the stress, this is the sigma tau xy. Okay, and this is the direction, x is the normal acting on this. Okay, so that means we require two directional components to denote a tensor. One, the direction of the plane, the normal direction, and second is the direction of the stress itself. So this is the notation we use for representing any stress component. Now we need to understand how do we assign the sign to this stress. What is the sign convention we use? Now, for example, if I say tau ij, this is positive, this is positive when acting on a plane with positive I as the normal. Direction of the normal is along the positive I direction. And there is another and statement here, and the stress acting along positive j direction. So this is also true if the direction of the normal is minus I and the stress is acting along minus j direction. So that means in each case plus I and plus j it is positive, minus I direction normal and minus j direction stress it is positive stress. That is because if you look at this element, same element, and I say this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the z-axis. So I consider this phase, right? So to this phase, this is the normal. So this is along the minus x direction, right? And for the stress to be positive, what is the direction of tau xy here? It should be along the minus y direction. This is the minus y direction. This is actually my tau xy, which is again positive. That is because this is positive. The complementary has to be there because it creates a rotation or the moment. So this is also tau xy. This is also tau xy. That means any phase we call it as positive x phase because the normal of this plane is along the positive x axis. This is positive y axis because the normal is along the positive y direction. Negative x phase, this is the negative x phase, right? Because the outward normal goes towards the negative x direction. So similarly, we can define what are the different directions. Now, if there is any change in this, right? Any change. So that means, let me draw that figure again. So if this is the element here, if this is the element here, and let's say this is the positive x direction, which is the normal. Now, if I assume that the stress acting in this direction, this is also tau xy, right? So now can you tell me what is the direction of the normal? Is positive x. This is the normal. That means it's on the positive x phase, but the stress acting along the negative y direction. So there is a combination of positive x normal and negative y direction. So that means it's a negative tau xy. So are you able to understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so any combination of plus plus minus minus will give you the positive shear stress, and any combination of minus plus or plus minus will give you the negative shear stress. So now when I come to the normal stress, for example, when I come to the normal stress, what happens is that now let's say I consider, yeah, yeah.
The negative shear stress means that just the direction is reversed, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Now, negative shear stress means the direction of the strain also will be reversed, right?
Yes.
Because this will have another component here. The moment is in this direction, right? In the positive direction, what happens? It's in the other direction. So if it is like this, so that creates a different type of action. And the stress, because of this stress, the shear strain also will be different. So because of this, the shear strain looks something like this. Something like this. So this is the change in the initial configuration. Agreed? What happens here when you have in this way? So this actually will be something like this. Something like this. Agree? So this is the change in the angle. The direction of the shear strain will also change because of the shear stress. Now, am I clear with this? Have I cleared your doubt? Hello?
Sir,
Yeah.
shouldn't this strain be when we apply force on the top surface? We are applying force on the left surface, so there must be different strain. I mean, what you have drawn in by blue markers should be when force we apply parallel force on top surface, no?
No, top, I'm only considering now, for example, let's say only let's talk in this direction. I apply this force or stress. How does it behave? So it will go like this because of the shear will be like this,
Yes, sir.
right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
So when I consider it in other direction, what happens? If it is like this.
Oh, okay, sir. Got it.
So can I say that it will look like this? Something like this?
Yes, sir.
So I will show you the shear stress component also. I have a slide on that also. I will show you that. So here, now let's come to the shear normal stress. So this is the x direction. Now this is what I call it as positive x phase, or the phase having the positive x as the normal. And this is sigma x or sigma xx. So you can call it as sigma x or sigma xx. So it is one and the same. Now what happens here? This is the direction of the normal along the positive x direction, and this is the direction of the stress. Both are in the positive direction, therefore this is a positive stress, right? So on this side, what happens? This is the direction of sigma x or sigma xx. This is the negative x phase, and the direction of the stress along the minus x direction. Minus minus combination. This is also a positive normal stress. But if I reverse this, for example, I consider this direction like this. This is actually positive y direction. This is positive y. And the stress acting along the negative y direction. This sigma y along the negative y direction. This one. Therefore, this is a negative normal stress. In other words, if it is tensile, creating a tension action, it becomes positive normal stress. If it is creating compression of the material, then it is called as a negative normal stress. So this is the sign convention we use for shear stress as well as the normal stress. And for example, here, when I say that, let's become here, I said that there are 9 components of stress, right? 9 components of stress includes 3 normal, that is sigma x, sigma y, sigma z acting along xyz direction, and 6 shear, that is tau xy, tau yx, tau xz, tau zx, tau yz, and tau zy. But if you look at this carefully, they are actually symmetric. So this should be equal to this should be equal to this, and this should be equal to this. So that we can prove by considering this figure. So here, let us assume that there are 2 types of stress acting. One is this tau, another is this tau dash. Okay, so that means it is similar to tau xy and tau yx, right? So if I consider this as xy plane, it should be tau xy and yx, right? So in this case, what is happening here is that, so this is actually which component is tau dash? Tau dash is what? This is tau xy or yx?
Tau yx.
This is xy, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes.
And this is tau yx.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Because this is the direction of the normal, that is the x direction. So this is tau xy. Fine. So now tau is tau yx and tau dash is tau xy. We need to prove that these two are equal, and because of that symmetry, you reduce from 9 components of stress to 6 component of stress. So what we assume that any shear stress tau will form a couple. That couple is defined as tau x. Tau is the stress. Tau is the stress. So let's assume that this is also having a thickness of z. So this is the tau acting on this surface. This is tau. So this is x. The force on this will be tau into x into z. This is the force into y. I am considering the moment from here. So this actually create, this is tau xz, tau into x, sorry, this is not tau xz, tau into x into z. That force is acting at y. So this is the couple or the moment it acts about point D. So it has to be balanced by another tangential force on this line. Otherwise, this will not be in equilibrium. This will keep on rotating, right? So to avoid that, we have another balancing tangential force to counter at AD or BC. So any normal stress which exists will balance on parts, because see, so when I say there are normal stress like this is sigma x, there'll be another on this direction. That is equal and opposite reactions, right? So here also it will be there will be tangential force on the plane AD and BC. So we call that, if tau is the shear stress you are applying, tau dash is the complementary shear stress. So to maintain the equilibrium, what happens is that the moment at about point D or any other point has to be balanced. So for the equilibrium, what we say that tau into xz into y, this is the moment about point D because of tau yx or tau, and this is the moment tau dash yz into x is the moment because of tau dash, or tau dash is equal to tau xy. So they have to be balanced. Therefore, we can say that tau xy is equal to tau yx. So similarly, we would change the plane and work on 2 different planes. So then you can also get this tau xz is equal to tau zx and tau yz is equal to tau zy. So that means 6 component of shear stress, 6 components of shear stress reduces to
Excuse me, sir.
3. Yes.
Sir, how did we get that Z term included in this equation?
Which one?
Sir, tau dot xz into y, like y cap.
Oh, yz is coming. So because it is actually acting on the surface, right? Now, if I consider this is the, let's say this is the cube I am considering. So this is x, this is y, and this is z. Now this is the shear stress I am considering. What is the force because of that? If I consider this point, this is tau dash, for example. Tau dash is acting on a plane having dimension x into z. Shear
Yes, sir.
stress into area
Yes.
will give me the force.
Yes, I got it.
That's why it is tau dash into xz is the force multiplied by y will be the moment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Similarly, I have here also tau. Tau is acting, tau into y into z will be the force acting at a distance x. So this has to be equal. So in that case, I can cancel out xyz, tau dash is equal to tau. Correct? Okay, now there is a problem. Can you give me?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, why we consider the distance to be x? It can be that slant distance also. Why we are considering that the whole force is on this corner of this edge of the cube?
That is because, yeah, you can consider about this line.
Okay, okay, sir. Now I got it.
Even you can consider about this. Then what happens is that this is into x by 2 and this into x by 2. It get added up, right?
Yes, sir.
So you irrespective of which point you take, the action of the moments remain same.
Yes, sir.
So this is actually a cube. Yes.
So can you please explain the equilibrium equation again? So along with the vector notation. So the equilibrium equation.
This one.
Tau, yes, so
This
tau
one?
into xz in y cap direction is equal to tau dash into yz in x cap direction. So that.
Yeah. Here, if I want to write it again, so this is the cube we are considering. So let's say this is tau dash, this is tau, this is x, this is, let's say, z. You can consider dx dy dz also, and this is y. So the force acting on this plane, what is that force? It is tau dash is the shear stress, force per unit area, into area, that is xz is the area of this plane, is the force. It's at a distance of y. So that is the moment, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Into moment. Similarly, if I go to this force, it is tau into y into z. This is the force.
Yes, sir.
So distance at x.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
You can
Got it.
consider r cross f also. You can do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Sir, sir,
Yeah.
sir, if we consider this on the top surface, along the edge of top surface,
You can consider.
then
Then
that
what
of
happens? You consider this force, this moment, because of, if you consider here, you are considered this moment and this moment,
okay,
this moment and this moment. You can consider at any point. You can try.
okay, sir.
You can consider the center, for example. Here, center of the element you can consider. It will be same.
Yes.
Because moment, to be an equilibrium, at every point the moment has to be balanced. That is the only logic we are using here. Okay, now let us have a problem. This is a cube which is cut. Okay, so this is the outer face of the cube. So it is actually cut. Okay, now can you tell me what are the forces, what are the stresses acting on this, and proper sign? Okay, so let us start with this one. What is this one?
So this is normal stress.
What is the name of the stress? In terms of tau, sigma, anything?
Sigma x.
Okay, sigma x or sigma xx, fine. And what about this?
So this is sigma xz.
Positive or negative?
Tau xz, and this will be x.
So which one?
And
This one, the red one. This.
So negative.
This will be negative.
Negative.
Negative, sir.
What is the name of this stress?
Tau x.
X.
Tau xz. Negative.
with a negative sign or positive?
Yes.
Negative. sir.
Why it is negative?
So because surface is
Normal is
It has a negative normal.
Surface
It's just
area
acting on the positive. Yes, this is negative tau xz. Fine, agree. Now come to the face ABGF. What about this stress?
so tau zy.
Tau ZY.
Tau.
Negative.
What is that? Tau.
Positive.
Tau xz.
zy.
Direction. Positive, negative sign.
Positive.
Positive.
Okay. How about this?
Positive.
Tau zx.
Tau ZX.
Tau zx. Sign.
Negative.
Negative.
Negative. And come to the face ADEF. The normal stress shown there. This normal stress.
Sigma Y.
Sigma y.
Bye.
Sigma y or sigma y. Positive, negative.
So it will be negative.
Negative. Compressive, right? Negative. And come to the last term here. What is this?
So this is tau yz. And it
Tau
is
Tau
y.
y
Positive.
positive, right? This is positive.
Yes.
Correct? Now it is clear, I believe. If you want to find out what are the forces because of this, you have to just multiply with their corresponding area on which plane it is acting. Right? So that will give you what is the type of force, so that you can calculate later. So same thing I have written here also. I think we are writing same thing. Minus tau zx x zy. Okay. So is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now let's come to the strains. As we understand, because of we applied some forces, we applied some stresses, there will be some kind of shear strain because of the shear stress. Shear strain, what is the shear strain? Can you define what is shear strain means?
Strain caused by shear stress.
So normal strain means what?
Relative
Change in the length, right? It is the change in the length, that is the normal strain. So for example, if you consider this figure, so what happens because you have applied all direction normal stress, sigma x, sigma y, sigma z, the dimension or the size of the cubic element is increasing in all three directions. We are not worried about how much is the increase. So it is increased because that is what we call it as normal strain. So there will be strain along x direction, strain along y direction, and strain along z direction. If all is there, that means the volume has increased, right? Because of the change in the normal strain in the x, y, z direction, the volume actually has changed, right? When you come to, that means the length delta x has become delta x plus some delta u. If you look at this, delta x plus delta u is the changed length, delta y plus delta v is the changed length here, and delta z is plus delta w are the dimension which has been changed because of the application of this. So when you apply the shear stress, there will be change in the angle. So earlier it was pi by 2 here. When you consider a cube, it was pi by 2. This angle was pi by 2. Now it has actually changed. So it was like this. This is the pi by 2 before. And now because of the shear strain, it is now changing to some other angle. So that means there is some angle. This angle we call it as gamma xy. If you are looking at the xy plane, this is the x and this is the y, xy plane. Right, so there is a change in the angle which was earlier pi by 2. Now it has changed to this. So it can be like this, then there will be angle here also. So that means alpha, this, if you consider this is alpha, this is beta, I can say that alpha plus beta is equal to gamma xy. But I'm only considering at one location. But here it is actually considered. Here also there is an angle, here also there is an angle. So that means in that case what happens is that, so this angle is equal to this is equal to pi by 2 minus gamma xy. Because I'm considering alpha plus beta is equal to gamma xy, pi by 2 minus gamma xy will be the revised angle of the cube because of the shear strain. So that same thing can happen in the YZ plane here, where I measure this is the pi by 2, this is the angle which I am looking at, and the changed angle, for example, this angle which I am looking here, earlier it was pi by 2, now it has been equal to, now it is equal to pi by 2 minus gamma YZ. So here also the definition of shear strain is all the strains are also tensor quantity. If you change the plane, the strain component will also change. Okay, and shear strain also can be written in the XZ plane as well. Okay, so these are the different components of. So now if I go back to the stress, in the state of stress tensor S is equal to, I can write it in a matrix form. I can write it in a matrix form, like I have sigma xx or sigma x, sigma yy or sigma y, sigma zz or sigma z are the normal stresses. And now I can have what are the shear stress components? I have tau xy, tau xz. Now I have tau yx, tau yz, tau zx, tau zy and sigma zz. So this is a 3 by 3 matrix having 9 components, but as we know that these two are same, these two are same, these two are same. So 9 components reduces to 6 components, 3 normal and 3 shear stress. And here also, if I come to the strain vector, so the strain tensor, so this is equal to the strains, I can say epsilon x or epsilon xx, epsilon yy, epsilon zz are the normal strains, creating the change in the length of the element, and I can have gamma xy, gamma xz, gamma yx, gamma yz, gamma zx, gamma zy. So these are the components of strain at a particular point for any state of stress. So here also I can equate these two and these two. So here also it is 3 by 3 matrix, but you have 6 components. So here also you have 6 components. So that means at any particular point I have 6 components of stress and 6 components of strain at a particular point. Okay, so this is a very good information you can understand. So we require these type of parameters when we go for the analysis of stress or analysis of strain. Okay, so now we can do the analysis of stress strain also. Now, for example, how do I define the stress? That's what we have done. It is we have taken the force and divided by the area. If you want for a particular point, you limit the area to be equal to 0, and then you get the stress at a point. Now, what is the displacement and strain? So now I'll write here displacement and strain. Now let us assume that I have a rod like this. Just concentrate on one-dimensional thing. So this is equal to P and this is equal to Q. And let us assume that this length is equal to delta x. Delta x is the length. So this is the x, value of x, and this is at x plus delta x. This is the coordinate of the rod. Now, because of the displacement, what happens is that it will be displaced somewhere like this. Somewhere like this. So I call this as P dash, I call this as Q dash. Okay, now this displacement I call it as U of P, and this from here to here I call U of Q. U is point P is displaced to P dash with the displacement U, and point Q is displaced to Q dash with the displacement of U at Q. So the displacement, because U at P is not equal to U of Q because it's a deformable body. If it's a rigid translation, it is you are whatever the u here, you also will be same here also. But that is not the case because it's a deformable body. Therefore, now I should know what is the extension of this. How do I write the extension? Extension is equal to u at q minus u at b. Okay, so that will give you what is the extension delta. Extension delta. So now I want to know what is the normal strain. Normal strain, that is called as epsilon x or epsilon xx, that is along the x direction. How do I define the normal strain? Extension delta divided by the original length of the bar we have considered as equal to delta x. Therefore, I can write this as u at x plus delta x, that is u of q minus u at x divided by delta x. This is the strain, normal strain. So if you take the limit delta x to 0, then what happens is that epsilon x is equal to limit delta x goes to 0. This is equal to u x plus delta x minus u of x divided by delta x. This is equal to del u divided by del x. So this is the definition of strain in terms of the displacement in the about the x direction. So similarly, I can also write epsilon y is equal to del v by del x and epsilon z is equal to del w by del x. So here u, v and w are the displacements along x, y and z directions. Okay, so based on that definition, we can now, if you know the displacement, its gradient about, sorry, this I made a mistake here, del y and this is del z. So these are the normal stress components, and similarly we can also derive the equation, differential equation for the shear strain in terms of the coordinates. So let us do that. Is it okay? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'll move on. Now let us assume, just consider XY plane. So we want to define what is shear strain. What is shear strain? So I consider an element like this. This has a dimension of delta x and delta y. Okay. Now let us define this point as point O. This is C. This is D. This is E. So the coordinate of this is that O has this is the y coordinate of that, and this is the x coordinate of that point. Now what happens is that because of the application of the load, there will be normal strain, there will be shear strain. So let us assume that this point O will move to somewhere here. Call this as O dash. Okay. So now I assume that this is the revised or the deformed shape of the element OCDE. This is C dash, this is D dash, this is E dash. So this looks very exaggerated, but that is required to understand, because we one thing is that we are assuming that the displacements are small. Here we are showing it very exaggerated, so that you have to understand. Okay, so this is the deformed shape. Now let us come to this, that O goes to O dash. So this displacement along the x direction is equal to U. Okay, and then C goes to C dash, C goes to C dash. So here this distance along the x direction will be equal to, this is not u because it's a deformable body. So we can say that u plus there is an incremental change, that is del u by del x along the x direction. So this you should understand, because so u is the displacement of point O to O dash along the x direction. Point C is actually deformed internally and it goes to C dash. Displacement is not u because it's not a rigid body. There is some incremental change from point O to point C because of the internal deformation. There is a deformation, this is a deformable body. So that change along the x direction is written as u plus delta u by delta x into dx. So this is the change. Similarly, along the y direction, so this distance is equal to v, and between E to E dash, along the y direction, it will be v plus del v by del y into dy. I should, to be more specific, I can also write it as equal to delta x. This is the length, along the delta x length it is changing. So therefore here also I will write it as delta y. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
So now from this figure also I can derive what is epsilon x. Epsilon x from this figure will be, so C is actually displaced by u plus delta u by this. So I can say it is u plus delta u by delta x into delta x minus u is the displacement. So that will give me what is the total extension or the displacement, that divided by delta x. So I can cancel out this u, I can cancel out delta x, it gives me delta u by delta x. Same thing I can do in the y direction also. Now what we are planning to write is that, so this is actually, if I want to draw, this is one angle and this is another angle. Earlier it was equal to pi by 2. Now this change in this angle is equal to what? This angle is equal to pi by 2 minus gamma xy. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gamma xy, how do I write? Gamma xy can be written as, now for example I'll write it again. So this is where we are looking at that particular point. So this is, let me change this to blue color. So just I am writing that point O dash. So this angle I can call it as angle alpha, and this angle I can call it as beta. So I can say alpha plus beta is equal to gamma xy. Then only this will be equal to pi by 2 minus gamma xy. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I need to calculate the angle alpha and I need to calculate what is the angle beta. So for that I need to know, now for example O has moved to O dash with a displacement of V. So what is the y direction displacement of C to C dash, this displacement? C has moved to C dash in y direction also, and there is an extension along x direction also. What is this distance? It's equal to,
So it is equal to V plus
del V by del x into delta x.
Yes.
Right? And similarly, E has moved to E dash, because O to O dash along the x direction we know. E to E dash along the x direction, this one. It is U plus what? Dou U by dou y into delta y. Okay. Therefore, what I can assume that angle alpha is equal to, I assume that angle is small, so therefore tan alpha is equal to alpha. So that is equal to tan alpha. So therefore alpha will be equal to what? dou v by dou x into delta x divided by delta x, correct? Because this is the angle, so this v I will subtract from here. Okay. Any doubt?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No doubt.
Okay. Similarly, what is beta? Beta will be equal to, here this is angle beta, that is del u by del y delta y divided by delta y. Therefore, gamma xy, which is equal to alpha plus beta, will be equal to del u by del y plus, or I can say to be more correct, del v by del x plus del u by del y.
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, why it is written del v by del x instead of del v by del y when we have written the displacement
This
of
one,
theta?
right?
Yeah.
Here, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That is because v is changed along the x direction. This is v and this is v plus something, right? On this, along the x direction, v is changing.
Okay, yes.
That is why we are writing dv by dx, dv by dx instead of dv by dy.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Now the figure is actually become complicated, but you can see the video I have explained simply so that you can understand. Similarly, I can also say gamma xz is equal to same thing. I repeat, delta w by delta x plus delta u by delta z, and gamma yz or gamma zx is equal to delta v by delta z plus delta w by delta y. So that means now we have defined the normal strains, now we have defined the shear strain in this problem. So stresses are known, strains are known. If you know the displacement, for example, in any case you want to solve this problem, so what you do is you assume some variation for the displacements, how u is changing, how v is changing, how w is changing along the x, y, z directions. So if you can formulate either by using some polynomial or some mathematical functions, you can generate what is the strains. If you can get what are the strains, by using the Hooke's law, you can easily get what are the stresses. So I don't have any instrument to measure the stress, right? Do I have? I don't, right? So I can measure the displacement. I can measure the strains by using some instruments, strain gauges, that I will convert to stress by using some equations which is obtained from the Hooke's law. For this is what we are calling it as a linear elastic material in our case. So it's pretty simple to obtain stresses from the strains and displacement from the strains from the displacements also. So this becomes clear when we go with some advanced theory of elasticity or something, but we are just understanding what is stress, what is strain here. So that is our job. Now we can also consider what do you mean by strain, that is a change in the angle with respect to its original length. Now, for example, let me paste a figure here. So where to paste? Okay, I have pasted here something. Now I want to know what is the shear strain, right? There is some mount, we are applying the force in this direction by some motorized arrangement. So because of that force, this element which was like this, a block, now changes to something like this. Now what happens is that there is a change in this angle phi. and there is a displacement delta S. Can we connect to the shear strain, which is actually related by phi? That means what is tan phi here? Tan phi is equal to delta S, that is the sliding displacement divided by the depth, that is the thickness of that block L. So I can say this is approximately equal to phi, that is the shear strain. Shear strain gamma is equal to delta S divided by L. So that I can easily find out what is the type of stress I have. What is the type of strain? I can measure it actually by knowing what is the displacement in the direction of the load and what is the depth it had before, because by using that I can easily find out how to get the shear strain. Okay, so there are different aspects of shear strain. We can also discuss that. Let me put another figure here. Okay, now I'll come to another aspect called single shear and double shear. So now let us say, I'll finish in 2-3 minutes. So let us say we have this case. There is one bolt, and there are two plates connected, and I am applying a force in this direction. There are only two plates, which is joined by the bolt. Now, if I want to draw the free body diagram of this, the bolt, so the bolt looks something like this. So that means if I take a section here, this is the section I'm taking. So what are the forces acting on the bolt? What are the forces acting on the bolt? This is actually pulling in this direction. That means there is some force acting here that is equal to F. Right? And here also there is a force F. Now, if I just cut this section here, this is the cut section I'm considering. I just say this is the force acting here, and I consider this is the force F here because it's in equilibrium, right? Or I just say this is equal to P. I don't know this P. By considering that this is actually equal, F is equal to P because of the equilibrium, I just say P is equal to F, and tau average shear stress is equal to P by A, that is equal to F by A. So whereas if you come, the shear stress is obtained by force divided by the area. Now if I come to this, in this case what happens if I draw the free body diagram of this bolt? So I have a bolt like this. So I just consider this is some middle line I'm considering here. So in this case, what is happening here? So there is a force applied here at this is one force, right? Correct? Or the direction I have to change. So what is the direction of the force here? Here? In this direction, right? In this direction you have a force, that is F. And here I also have a force. Wait, I just have to correct it. So here I have a force in this direction, and here I have a force in this direction, and here I have a force in this direction. Okay, so now I'll change it. So I have a force here in this direction, I have a force in this direction, and I have a force in this direction. So if I cut this somewhere here, maybe between these two, so I cut the section somewhere here. So what do I get? I just have to write the section like this. So here I have force F, here I have force F, here I have some unknown force that is equal to P. No, this is P. I don't know this. This is F. I am applying a F force right? Therefore, I can say that F is equal to 2P or P is equal to F by 2. The stress tau average in this case is equal to P divided by A, that is F by 2A. This is called as double shear. So it is sheared at two different locations. We call it as double shear, and here we call it as single shear. Single shear because it is sheared at one particular location. But the double shear, if you have a double shear, the magnitude of the shear stress is half of what you have in the single shear. So that's why you have seen that when you have a large load and when you are doing design, you increase the number of plates so that the shear stresses are reduced. So if you keep on increasing that, then the load distribution changes and the shear stresses reduces in this thing. So that means your design becomes safer when you go for double shear compared to single shear.
Sir?
Okay? Yeah.
Sir, I have to ask that in the railway tracks,
yeah,
the pins are double sheared.
Which one is double shear?
The pins joining the track. The nut and
Joining
bolt.
the track.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
The two rails are joined by some plates and some pins and bolted to the sleeper.
So you bolt, for example, if this is the rail.
Yes, sir.
If this is the rail, then what you do is you just bolt it like this, right? So you bolt it to one more and you bolt it to another like this. Like this.
Yes, sir. This type of bolting, and when the rail ends, the two rails
exactly.
are joined with a gap in between.
This is actually this is because you are attaching one plate here, one plate here. So that means it is similar to this arrangement. This arrangement.
Okay, sir.
This will be under double shear, yes.
And the two rails between the gaps. When
that is actually you treat them independently. So this is also connected to a plate like this, and then it is connected to like this, and then it is bolted. Right?
Yes, sir, I have to ask a different thing, that when the rail ends, not to the sleeper, the two rails are joined one by one with the help of bolts both on the inner side and the outer side. I have seen one plate on the other side and on the inner side, and three bolts are joined. That is also double shear.
Yeah.
With a gap in between to avoid for thermal expansion to allow.
Yeah, true. Correct.
Sir, in that case, longitudinal stress and thermal stress are both working when the rail is in
normal, because see, thermal expansion is actually due to the normal stress, not due to the shear. Thermal strain, the thermal stress or thermal strain is only due to the expansion of the material, right? Because of when it is it is under heat, what happens is that the material expands. We are considering the material to be isotropic. In that case, it only expands. There is no shear strain.
Okay, sir.
So that is one thing. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay then. All right. We meet tomorrow. Same 11 o'clock.
Thank you, sir.